Many people are familiar with the practice of yoga, which is a type of workout that I at one point was doing between my runs around my local park. I initially did it to start gaining flexibility and strengthen my legs in hopes that it would make my runs longer, faster, and easier. However, it was through this practice that I encountered barre class. So, in fact, the yoga studio was the portal in which I entered the space that is barre workouts. Barre is an affinity space that I'm involved in, and after analyzing it, I have learned about how knowledge is acquired in this space, and it is much different than the type of learning that takes place in the classroom. Barre is a place where people come together who are passionate about partaking in the activity, and Barre has many different types of classes, which all depend on where you enter the space. You can do that through the studio, or you can do that through workout videos online, or you can do that through podcasts even. Sometimes Barre is mixed with Pilates and higher level cardio. Other times it can be done with the incorporation of yoga moves. Either way, those who partake in Barre enjoy it, which is much different from the classroom. There isn't a shared passion that brings people together, and the students in any given classroom will have different levels of passion for the material or learning in general. I think the biggest takeaway from this aspect of Barre as an affinity space is that Barre feels more like a team effort, and the classroom doesn't seem as cohesive. The people in the classroom are all there for a variety of reasons, and if there could be more of a connecting factor to bring everyone together, perhaps there would be a shift in appreciation for the material and each other. One of the biggest things about Barre is that not everyone in any given space is going to be on the same level, which is a trademark of an affinity space, according to Kerwood Angie. There are people who can barely squat or get their leg past their hips, and there are others who have incredible poise and can touch their foot to their face. However, everyone in the space is still welcome. There isn't a person in the room who isn't becoming stronger and better at the workouts, so there is a value that is recognized in the room no matter which level you find yourself on. While there are instructors in the room, in some cases, they are not always the ones that you're paying attention to. You can find new tips and skills from the people around you, and on any given day, the different levels that people are on can shift. One might find themselves being able to push through an extended leg isometric hold one day, and then not be able to do it the next day. This doesn't make you bad at Barre, and you're encouraged to listen to your body and do what feels right for you frequently in practice. The interesting thing is that if we're able to bring this type of connection into our classroom, where every person is valued for whatever ability level that they're on, it would change the dynamic of how students are viewed. Instead of being evaluated based on your grade, it would be more about what you can do. It's a much more positive approach, and it's very empowering. I've never felt ashamed in a Barre class. I've never felt on a lower level in Barre class. It's simply that I might be feeling different that day, or I'm on a different plane than someone else. I'm a different person than the other people in the room, and I'm valued for what I can do, and I'm not judged by what I can't do. Students are not treated this way in every classroom, and I can't even begin to express how many of my students in my time teaching have shut themselves off from learning because they felt like they would never catch up or that they weren't good enough. A lot of times when students are disengaged from a lesson or they act out in the classroom, I found that it circles back to that negative feeling that's built up over time. It could be completely turned around if students felt like they were independent in their learning journey, that they weren't being compared to others in the classroom. When you enter the world of Barre, there's an appreciation of intensive and extensive knowledge. While many times you're working to complete a particular workout, the fact that people might know more about different aspects or types of Barre is still highly valued. Some practitioners of Barre might be more knowledgeable about cardio Barre or HIIT Barre, and others might be more knowledgeable about ballet Barre, or they might know a lot about static stretches or classic pliés. However, whatever it is that you do know and understand, your knowledge is seen as valuable. You can share that information with others during classes or after class in meetings, and you can go on to become an instructor or guide if you so choose with the knowledge that you have. However, there are many paths to that status. There are different certifications through different studios, or you could just gather together in a park and do Barre moves with your friends, because you don't need an actual Barre for many Barre moves. This is something that students typically don't see in the classroom. It's all about who knows the material being taught and how well students do on particular assessments. There isn't really any value placed on students' ability to curate their own knowledge on various aspects of a subject. I think it's something that's really missing in collaborative learning. I've spent a lot of time picking up information from my friends in my lifetime, and it's also how I've picked up information about getting better at Barre. If everyone is taking the same data and converting it into the same knowledge, then it makes it really hard to learn new things from each other. And I believe I know as much as I know today because of the interactions that I've had with friends, colleagues, and even acquaintances. The biggest takeaway that I've had about looking at Barre as a whole and as an affinity space is how we learn. I've learned that the best in my life hasn't been through some rigid system. The way I learn is much more fluid than that. I think that I've developed a love of learning through a more affinity space-esque style. When I think back on my time in traditional school, there isn't much that really stands out. But in times where I was able to develop relationships with the information or associations with the information through shared passions and conversations with people who might have similar or the same passions, that's when I learn the most. G and Corwood have explained these spaces as a physical or virtual place where you can access the material through many points and information can be shared by different people with different understandings and different levels of understanding. The classroom doesn't have to be an affinity space, but looking at Barre in this way has given me a tangible example of how I learn naturally, and it's allowed me to attach it to some new vocabulary, and hopefully I'm able to incorporate these ideas into my classroom next year.